what are some advanced techniques for detecting and mitigating zero-day attacks?
Okay, so uh, when I'm going to build an application, okay, so most probably I want to build an application with the latest technologies. So I have built the application and given to Play Store any kind of steps. Okay, so maybe today, maybe an expert comes, maybe a vulnerability comes out with the latest technologies that I have used. Okay, but I haven't updated that yet. Even before the vendor knows, any kind of attacker is going to attack that particular application. Okay, even before knowing the vulnerabilities. So we can call it as a zero-day exploitation. Okay, so for the mitigation things, we can go for the behavioral analysis.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You just need to make sure that you are actively monitoring your application working. If you feel something unusual, you just need to flag that. Okay, that's one of the things that you can use. And another thing, follow proper patch management. Okay, if you request a patch management or a patch update, okay, you just need to do that. Okay, for that also a periodic assessment is required. Okay, so these are the things that you can just use in this case.
just like I already told you in the libraries, right? Application security, we have to update proper libraries. So which means patch management will be like that. So we have to update all the patches. Okay.
Okay.
So, what are the common vulnerabilities you see in corporate network?
Especially when it comes to not even in corporate networks, for all other users, during normal users and in corporate network also. They just make use of these weak passwords. Like let's say one of your employees is just making use of a password like password at the rate 123 or normal 1234567. Okay, or even shared passwords. So let me just ask you one thing. You got passwords for your social media platforms, right?
Yes.
Okay, is it the same password that you were using for Facebook, Instagram, and all other social media platforms?
No, I don't.
No, you got different passwords. What are
Actions for
Maybe.
Huh?
Maybe.
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 Okay, so if you are using a shared password, which means the same password for every social media accounts. Okay, so once an attacker got access to your credential, he can just trace that same credential over different multiple platforms, right? That leads to a compromise of your multiple social media or any other accounts, social networking accounts. So don't just make use of these shared passwords. Instead of password as a passphrase, a normal word, okay, you can just keep it as a sentence that you remember. And I'm
A
sure
sentence?
a sentence that you
Yeah,
remember. It can be one of the favorite lines from a song, from a book that you have read. Okay, it can be like a character that length 14, 50. Okay, that much length.
But
Okay.
don't go directly with that particular sentence. Just add
So,
that
but
kind of
every
the
password has some specific
At least
characters,
8
right?
characters.
Yeah,
At
characters.
least 8 characters.
Yes,
Password
yes.
policies.
You can just go
A
more than
sentence
that, right?
And
will be a too
maximum-
much.
At least 10 characters you can just add. Instead of a normal passphrase like a word, you can just add a character, 16 characters length, at least 16 characters. Okay, you can just add a sentence. So for example, let me just say it like, Sreejith love cookies. So it's actually more than 6 or 8 characters, right? It's more secure in my perspective, okay? You can just add it as a sentence or a line that you like to add, but you just need to keep it. You just need to memorize it, or you just need to remember that password that you have to set, that you already set. Okay. And one more thing, when you keep trying this forgot password, okay, and I guess you are just making use of forgot password every time when you need to log into your social networking sites, right? Yeah. Then because of you are not just noting your passwords, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you gotta I'm just asking, you got a behavior of just noting your passwords in a notepad or
Yes,
in your
yes.
own. Yeah, it's
We
not
do.
a good practice. Okay.
Okay.
So don't just do that. Instead of that, either one way you can just use a productive password manager. Okay. If you got one, you can just make use of that. Don't just stamble or you don't just note it somewhere like in a notepad or in your own WhatsApp, in your own chat. You can just text it. Okay, this is my password. Okay, in order to make it more easier, you can just text it to your own account. In WhatsApp, you got a feature.
So where do you suggest us to note it?
If you're okay, you can memorize.
Memorize that?
Yes, of course.
Or a good password manager, but there is some risk factors. Even if the password manager faced a breach, then your credentials will be over internet. So that's a risk that you have to take. So don't just save your passwords also.
When it comes to cybersecurity, just don't trust your devices.
Yeah. In our community, we got a saying, no system is safe. It doesn't mean that your system is vulnerable. Most of the times, the person who is just making use of the device can be vulnerable. Okay, so that's why we got that saying, no system is safe.
We already talked about the social engineering.
Yeah, social engineering one of the best examples for that. Okay. Yeah, and also in order to the other known issues when it comes to a corporate network is that using default credentials. When it comes to network configuration, let's say you got a router, okay, and you are just keeping your default credential, maybe admin as username, admin as password, or maybe something. Okay, that's actually available over internet. If someone goes to your model, somebody knows about your model of router that you are using. Okay, in a normal Google search, he or she will be able to understand the default password used by that particular vendor. That will lead to a compromise of your network. So don't just do that. And also, if you don't need a particular service or a port, just stop that service. Okay. Always use the services or always make use of ports if only it required. Or else you can just stop that services. Okay.
Okay.
And educate your employees. That's important thing. Okay. If your employees they don't have a knowledge about the cybersecurity hygiene, okay, then definitely they're gonna end up in clicking some malicious links that will lead you a compromise of your own network, corporate network. So just educate your employees. That's the best thing that we can
Most of the employees, they don't know about the cybersecurity things. Okay, maybe if they get any kind of the links, they are going to click for that. They are going to check on that. Okay, so educating your employees will be the best option to mitigate all the kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
In your organization, there will not be cyber security analysts only, right? There will be other departments too, like finance, administration, sales, marketing. So they will not be aware of these social engineering tactics or any other malicious attackers' activities, right? So you have to educate them. There are cyber threats like this, so you just need to be more aware about these steps. Don't just click on malicious links or links from some unauthorized party. So don't just do that. Always keep your application that you are using up to date and just make sure that your system is not exhibiting any abnormal activities, unusual activities.
Okay, how about the large amount of data? Like corporates have a large amount of data, right?
Yeah.
How to secure those?
In order to secure those huge amount of data, you can just go for a proper encryption. All the data that you have stored in your database or in your storage unit, you have to get it encrypted. Okay, and also if it's a local server, you just need to implement proper physical security. So if it's cloud, you just need to make sure that the provider that you're relying on is actually good at this. Okay, and you have to periodically check that. Okay, that's the basics of it. You can just
Also, while using some kind of the applications, you have to go for a proper updation and everything. Okay, so if any kind of previous version is using right now, so it might be vulnerable already. So you have to update that properly. In a period of time, you have to update your whole system. Okay.
So let's assume that you got a password. It will be anything. Somehow you got password, but latest applications are using two-factor authentication, right?
Yes.
So in that case, if someone is using two-factor authentication, then is it possible to hack account or something?
yeah.
With the MFA. Yeah, multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, multi-factor authentication.
If that particular web application or that application is having some
Kind of a right link.
some functional flows like a business logic flows. Okay, so if I'm able to manipulate that logic flow, then I'll be able to get into that account. Or else, if they are maintaining a proper secure way, then there are no chances of getting into that particular applications. Okay, it depends on the applications. So if we can just manipulate their applications a logic flow, then definitely we can just get into their account. Even without a password is also possible if they are not following a proper workflow, normal logic flow, not a workflow, a logic flow. Yeah. It's possible.
In case of Instagram, is it possible?
Instagram,
It
Right
would
now we are
like,
having the rate limiting option.
yeah.
Okay. So when you are trying any kind of OTP,
Yeah.
so you will be only have a limited amount of time.
Okay.
In that time you have to complete that. Okay.
Yes.
Otherwise you won't get into another Instagram account. Okay.
As we know, CH is the beginner level certificate. If any student or any person wants to continue their learning in cybersecurity field, so which certificate you will suggest?
Okay. So in our case, it's a council. It's not just a beginner friendly,
It's not a beginner
but intermediate level. We can say like an intermediate level. Okay. So
No,
as
perspective, right?
in my personal opinion, okay, I'm just sharing my own experience, my own point of view, where if you got a time to just practice by a self-paced manner, okay, if you're good at this networking, if you're good at this programming stuff by yourself, you can just go directly with easy council certifications. Okay, they will just help you in just find that, okay, fine tune your knowledge into cybersecurity. They will just help you in molding process. But if you are new to this domain, you don't have a basic understanding about networking or even programming. So I prefer right now Kochi, I guess, beginner friendly. Okay, these CH is not only meant for beginners. So I
It's
prefer
for the
that.
professionals.
Yeah, then in order to level up once you completed your CH, you can just go for YZP or even IND certifications that you can opt. These are the common certifications that are industry professionals they're gonna take. Okay.
Can you explain about the real world cyber attack happening?
That you face in your working.
Okay. So I'm actually gonna share one of the write-ups. So one of the most main cyber attack that happened against Google. Okay, so that will be more interesting when it comes to Google. All of us are just making use of Google, right? Okay, so it's not recent one. Okay, this happened in 2009. Okay, so where the attacker made use of zero-day vulnerability, that is in Microsoft Internet Explorer. Okay, the attacker exploited a zero-day vulnerability that present in Microsoft Internet Explorer, where that particular vulnerability led to a remote code execution on our target server. Okay, so in this case also, the attackers made use of spear phishing. Okay, they just sent some malicious link to some specific users, some employees in Google. Okay, and what happened was some of the employees they have just clicked on those links. Okay, and the very next moment they got affected by or they just redirected to a malicious website. From there, by default, they get downloaded by a malware, and that malware just triggered the exploit, zero-day exploit. So that led Google to just disclose some intellectual property, some data related to Google. Okay, and not only Google, Adobe is also affected by this particular zero-day vulnerabilities. And the researchers they named it as a Operation Aurora. And Google officially disclosed this particular vulnerability of this cyber attack in 2010, I guess. So this is one of the main attacks that happened against Google and other 20 major companies.
So along with this, you want to tell me anything to our viewers?
So if you are just planning to start a career in cybersecurity, other than just choosing some advanced courses, you can just start. If you are a person who is just interested on self-paced knowledge, like if you are able to just understand stuff through web forums, other communities, you can just go with that. Or you can just after gaining proper knowledge in networking, in this programming stuff, in web application, their works, how they works, you can just go for advanced levels. Okay, don't be a script kiddie where you'll be able to use some of the tools created by someone else. Okay, with their guidance, with their commands that they have used, don't just copy and paste stuff. Okay, It's actually we call them script kiddies. So if you want to be a proper cybersecurity professional in a normal way, you just need to do that legally. You just need to learn yourself and just try to gather information. And yeah, our research skill is also good in this domain. It's actually required in this domain.
How about a person who is from non-IT background?
They can also work in this domain. Best examples are sitting in front of you,
Yeah.
right? Mechanical engineer and
Electronics.
engineer. So it's a best example for this. A non-IT person can also start their career as a cybersecurity professional.